on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. This morning, I promise to be brief. But I do have something to say on generosity and greed. Because on Tuesday, I was having a conversation with Rachel, who is now with our children right now, about generosity and grief. And she asked me a question. Rather, she made a statement and put a question mark on the end of it. And it challenged me a little bit. She said to me, while we were talking about greed, she said, all greed comes from a scarcity mindset, right? The idea, scarcity mindset, this idea that there is simply not enough of everything, anything, whatever it might be, material or immaterial, that supplies are limited, they are finite. So you have to get in, get yours before anyone else gets it before you. That at the heart of greed, the beginning of greed, essentially is fear, is worry. The fear that you will not have enough. The fear that someone will take something that you are owed, that you deserve. All greed comes from a scarcity mindset, right? And my reaction to her was, no. No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Sure, for some folks it does, but some people are just dragons. They just crave more. Some people are not coming from a place of fear. They're not coming from a place of want. They're not coming from a place of nervousness or timidness that something will get taken from them. Some people, like Habakkuk says, some people have throats as wide as hell and are as hungry as death itself. I kind of felt like Habakkuk. If you read that passage again sometime in your leisure, and then maybe read the rest of Habakkuk, he does not have a very good outlook on humanity. In fact, Habakkuk says that if any inch is ever made for injustice, everything will come crumbling down. It'll all be undone. Habakkuk is actually pretty apocalyptic in his prophecy. And I was really feeling like that day. That no, not every greedy heart indeed is coming from a place of want, is coming from a place of fear, that at the very core of themselves is a frightened child, someone who needs to be nurtured and loved and cared for. No, I said, some people are just dragons. And I think that Habakkuk would have agreed with me on this. That is a pretty bleak point of view, I have to say. Thinking about it later on, listening to myself, listening to where that response was coming from within myself, the history that had hanging on it, the frustration that had hanging on it. That's where that came from. And it's a pretty bleak and empty view of the human heart, of the human mind. And I found myself checking myself, asking, so why is it? Because I do believe that at our core, most people are good, that they are in need, that there is something externally that is needed to nurture and fulfill and make the soul whole again. So how is it then that I still feel a little bit that some people are just dragons? while at the same time, I do believe that there is something to be said about leaving the scarcity mindset, this reality, leaving that as a possibility. Why hold on to that when you look at the injustices of this world, when you look at its systems which are designed to consume people, their labor, their lives, to greedily hoard the wealth that they produce, the resources that should be available to all? How then can you hold out hope? Why should you hold out hope? Now, I don't want to say that anyone who believes this without question, the scarcity mindset, it is not a naive way of living. It is not a way of looking at the world with stars in your eyes or through rose-colored lenses. That when you believe that the greediest, hungriest, power-hungry person in this world still is coming from a place of scarcity, believing in scarcity, we aren't making up sad sack stories about them to justify unearned empathy, unearned compassion. But we do it, I believe, because as people of God, we work a little bit differently than Habakkuk. We need to leave a little bit of that door open because we are called to believe that people can indeed change, that redemption is possible for all people, that there is a path to wholeness, a path away from sinfulness, a path to God for all people. That it is there, because if the gate is closed for anyone, it is closed for all of us. And so, as people of God, we set our sights in that direction. Salvation is something that belongs to all people, and that keeping the smallest candle burning within us for another person's redemption can, in fact, turn into a soaring lighthouse that guides them into safe harbor instead of condemning them to a mountain hoard forever, sitting on a pile where they can never be a part of the world happening again. So Rachel asks me this question: all greed comes from a scarcity mindset, right? And I think about our world, and I think about the greedy in it. I think about the things that I see in the news, that I see on the street, that I see happening. And I feel the pain of my heart, and I hear the crying Habakkuk within me that the world is twisted, that it is sick, and I say, yes, that's right. It does. It does. Because I believe that all of those things can come undone, that redemption for all people and all things is possible, that salvation belongs to all of us, and one day we will claim it, all of us, together. Amen.